Won't you please come join me for some midnight therapy?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Midnight Therapy. I am your host, Kat Matthews. We are at episode 66. Time flies when you're having fun. Can't believe we made it this far. What a week it has been. A lot has been going on in my personal life. Very busy. Some exciting, some fun. Also, again, all the sad news last week. Had to process all of that. I'm sure all of you have been, bombarded with this frenzy of social media talking heads and opinions and hot takes and all that. So you're probably, bored or sick of it. So I'm not going to talk about it too much. Definitely not going to talk about it to nauseum. But we're going to talk about it a little bit, and we're going to have a nice quick episode today. And I hopefully, if I am as skilled as some of you think I am at what I do, the master of my craft, I will try to weave this into a positive. I will try to weave this dumpster fire of current events month into a positive message. Let's see if it's possible. This episode, we're going to cover, of course, a little bit about the suspect assassin of Charlie Kirk. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the backlash going on, some conspiracies. Of course, we're going to have to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to have to talk about Trump a little, as always. Going to talk about some of the things I've been noticing that I don't like. Always going to do that. Going to talk about the resurgence of what appears to be New Age Christianity. I don't even know. It feels like the start of like a crusades. People keep saying that word. What does it mean? We're going to dive into all of this. And then, of course, I have to bring up Bonnie Blue again. Now, how am I going to tie all that together? You'll see. Please watch. Please continue to watch. Please continue to share and subscribe. I want to get to 100 subscribers soon. It means a lot to me. You could say, who cares? It's just 100 subscribers. We all start somewhere. And again, I'm just a cowboy in the basement. I don't work for a media company. I don't have a $1 billion contract, and I don't, this is a solo operation here. All the lights and the camera and the action and the script I write my own teleprompter. I pick out my own outfits. I buy my own jewelry. This is a one-man show here. So show a little respect. Share this episode. Share the channel. Go back and watch old episodes. Tell your grandma about the show. That's all I'm saying. I'm not asking for a lot here. Anyways, let's get into it. Charlie Kirk, rest in peace again. I will never stop saying that. I keep seeing more and more clips of him. The algorithm is giving me even more Charlie Kirk clips of him doing his debates on college campuses and such. And it's even more sad to watch those now that he's gone. Again, didn't agree with every single thing he said. Overall, a lot of the points he made were valid. And I believe he did it. I believe he did what he did in a polite and respectable manner. Being honest, a lot of other people out there that are far more rude and insensitive than Charlie Kirk was. Keep that in mind. And remember, he pushed the ideas of Christianity and, speaking with those you disagree with. Civil discourse. The guy was not a monster, and it is a tragedy that he was killed in the way that he was. That's my opinion. Everybody has the right to their own, which we're going to get into. So again, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You will be missed. The suspect, the current suspect, lead suspect, Tyler Robinson. At first, it was this elderly man. He was 71 years old. His name was George Zinn. I guess he was always like doing something. He was always into something, this guy. He's the one that had his pants down around his ankles and was screaming, "Kill me, kill me." Was not that guy. What was that whole thing of them saying that was him? I don't know. You tell me. I might be able to tell you what I think. I might be able to lead you into what I think, but it doesn't really make sense, does it? Some guy is saying, "Kill me," and everybody says that's the suspect. A little odd, but it gets odder. Wait, gets weird. Gets even weirder. Now it's Tyler Robinson. This kid, very young, don't know much about him at first. They say it's him. There's a video of a guy jumping off the roof. Nothing adds up with this story. Let's just be honest. They tried to tell you, and by they I mean the mainstream media, tried to tell you that Tyler Robinson was a hardcore MAGA Trump Republican, which is what they always do. Did you notice that? They always try to play the party or the side or the intersection or what tribe are you in or what kind of affiliation you have. They try to do that right off the bat so that you know, get a juicier news story out of it. Or you could easily dismiss some of the low hanging fruit that one might assume, right? And it makes people in their echo chambers feel, validated that they were right or see that or look how surprising. So instantly they start telling you this guy is a MAGA Trump guy. That turns out not to be true. Nobody really went back on that and corrected that, though. No mainstream media, but it's out there if you want to know the info. The guy was not a MAGA guy. In fact, this guy had a roommate and romantic partner that was a transgender furry, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Look, I don't know if this is true. This is what I'm seeing. This is the reports I'm seeing. Transgender, definitely. I heard many reports say romantic partner. Heard a few say even furry, maybe in the furry area. I don't know anything about this. I'm just telling you what I heard. And again, I'm just a cowboy in the basement, so don't cite me. I'm just telling you what I heard. Regardless of that, but there is a reason I bring that up, but regardless of that, all these guys now, these young guys that have the rest of their life ahead of them are like writing or inscribing messages in bullets, like into the shell casings. Say Luigi Mangione, that guy that killed the healthcare CEO, he did that. Seeing all these people do this now. The freak school shooter guy that was a transgender as well, putting all that, the carving on the weapon and stuff and the bullets. Very weird. I don't know where that's coming from. It's very odd. Seems like a trend. But this guy, this Tyler Robinson, allegedly transcribed anti-fascist and pro-trans messages on these shell casings that were found with the weapon. Now, the weapon was found in the woods, apparently, against a tree, and it is a Woodstock rifle, 30-06, with a scope. But then he jumped off the roof with the weapon because they said he collapsed it and put it in his bag or his pant leg and jumped off the 3-story building and landed, even though his legs fully bent when he hit the ground. I don't know. See, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But then I guess he reassembled the weapon. It's not easy to do. And the screwdriver was on the roof, so I don't know how he did it, but he did it and then placed it against a tree in the woods while he was on the run. And all the while, he was texting his transgender roommate and lover detailed descriptions of what he had just done in a language, in a cadence, in a vernacular fashion that I have never heard young people talk in that way. The transcripts of the texts that we got from our own intelligence, from Robinson and his lover, were so off-putting. I don't care who you are, go read them. No young person speaks that way, number one. Nobody speaks that way that's under the age of 60. That's like how a boomer would text if they knew how to text. Number two, the guy, we're supposed to believe this guy was an evil genius and so smart enough to pull this off, yet he's so dumb to lay out exactly what he did, confess to everything, admission of guilt over text. That just slipped his mind. Everything else he thought of, but not that. And then you have, don't even get me started, you have Kash Patel, who we're going to get into, patting himself on the back, saying how they did such a good job catching this guy. First of all, you had the wrong guy. You had George Zinn. Number one. Number two, if you didn't have this Robinson kid's dad reach out, you wouldn't even have the lead on this guy. So I don't want to hear that. Praising local law enforcement. That's great, fine and good. It wasn't that speedy. This kind of took a while, and we don't even know if this is the guy. And a lot of people don't even know if this is the guy. Whatever. All the pictures look different. The original picture does not look, I don't know. Also, George Zinn, some weird stuff about him. Who knows what to believe anymore? I don't know what to believe anymore. Apparently, this guy's he's been around. He's always at a historical event of some sort. He was even allegedly at 9/11. I don't know. What does that have to do with anything? That's for you to decide. So anyways, I don't know what to make of this. I just laid out the details for you, but maybe this guy is a patsy of some sort. I think that's a fair conclusion to land at if you look at all the oddness of the situation. Now, let's move on. A few people on the internet, not many, were insinuating that this had something to do with Israel. All right? Now, you know me, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole unless it is justified. So I normally wouldn't have brought anything like that up, but I'm going to tell you what's odd. You have the head honcho, the top man of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, putting out a video statement saying that they didn't do it. Now, if something is so outrageous, you wouldn't even respond to it. And if you were the leader of a country, I don't think you would be responding to these conspiracy theorists on the internet. Yet he did. And if you watch the video, it seems very off-putting. I'm just going to be honest. Bibi seemed a little disingenuous. I'm just being honest. It seemed off. Something was off. Something's weird about this. Being honest, something's very weird about this. There's rumors, if you go down the rabbit hole of this, the $150 million thing that was offered to Turning Point USA to push a more pro-Israel stance. Now, again, this is just a rumor. Not saying this is true. This is an internet rumor. There's millions of these. Not saying it's true, but that was a rumor. There was people that were close to Charlie Kirk that are now touting this narrative that Charlie brought up some stuff towards the end that he feared that he might be, that his life may be in danger towards the end. And he was talking about denying certain invitations or offers. You be the judge. I don't know. I don't know what to say about any of this. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. I'm just a cowboy in the basement. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. And I'm telling you why it's weird. There's no credibility to any of these things, these statements. Anybody could have made them up. But I'm telling you, that's what's kind of going off. That's what people are running with. Some people. Little weird. You have to, there's so many conspiracies out there that's hard to tell what's real and what's fake anymore. You understand what I'm saying? The minute Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was people saying, "Oh, look, the guy behind him was doing code with the hat, and then he scratched his arm, and the camera in front of him was a weapon." And this is not good for the mental health. So after I'm done here, I'm not going to think about it anymore or talk about it. Moving on, I will remember Charlie Kirk and what he stood for, and that's it. Not going to go down these rabbit holes forever. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think they lead anywhere. I really don't. Just telling you what's not adding up and what's odd. Now, The backlash of Charlie Kirk's terrible, tragic death has been immense. Let's just say that. I mentioned locally, there was some stuff I know. I see people all over the internet getting fired for remarks they made, making fun of his death or celebrating his death, which is evil, as I said last episode, and odd. Now, of course, I have to go into Jimmy Kimmel. Now, I'm a little torn on this one. I'm going to tell you why I'm torn. Objectively, if you told me a late night comic in general was fired for making a joke that was offensive, me as a comic would say that that's not right. Normally, context is everything, though. So keep that in mind. Now, Jimmy Kimmel Live, whatever show is called, was pulled by ABC and Disney indefinitely. So technically, he was fired. Because he made an insinuation that MAGA, somehow tied to the Kirk murder. That they were the people behind it. It was not even a joke. See, the thing, there's many problems with Jimmy Kimmel, but the one big problem with Jimmy Kimmel is it was less of a comedy show and more of a hot takes political show that catered to a radical left audience. It was like if you were in the echo chamber of the far left, he was going to tickle your fancy every night for at least 10 minutes politically. Like the people were hungry. The people that watch that show are hungry for leftist politics. They don't want to hear any jokes about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. They only want to hear Trump bad and global warming is happening and the COVID shot was a great choice. Like that's what they want to hear. So they know that. ABC knows that. I heard many reports that Jimmy Kimmel was told by the head of ABC and even a guy from Disney, a higher up, to calm down the rhetoric a bit. He didn't listen and was canceled. Now, this is what's ironic. This is what's hypocritical. The left is now crying the First Amendment. They're saying, well, what about freedom of speech? This is censorship. How can you be so hypocritical? That's all I need to know. How can you be so blind to your own irony? Like, do you not understand that for the past, 8 years, let's say past 5 years, the left has been the one canceling people? Do you remember that? Like, do we forget? I didn't forget. You remember COVID when everyone lost their job and everybody got canceled? Like, I just think people have amnesia. They forget. And I'm hearing these people saying, I'm canceling Disney. I'm canceling Hulu. Like the same people that said they were moving to Canada if Trump won. Well, guess what? He won twice and you're still here. So is this just theater? Like, is this virtue signaling? Is this showing the world that you won't stand for this? It's just odd to me because you will say someone shouldn't have their show canceled for using their freedom of speech, but you will laugh at someone that had their life canceled for expressing their freedom of speech. It is just insanity to me. I see all these posts. Nobody should be fired for expressing their opinion. But then when somebody is killed for expressing their opinion, they laugh and they celebrate it. This is what's crazy. Like this is, Jimmy Kimmel, I'm sorry. I don't think you should have been fired per se. Just because I don't want anyone to get fired. I really don't. I want people to learn from their mistakes. I don't want anyone to get fired. I don't want their lives ruined because I'm not an evil person. And even if someone did that to me, I am not a vengeful person. I believe that vengeance and revenge is in the hands of the creator. It's out of my hands. I don't get to cosmically change fate. And it's not my place to. And those that try will eventually get what they gave back. So I keep that in mind. You get what you deserve in this life. That will either scare you or comfort you. That statement. You get what you deserve. So keep that in mind. Now, people are saying Trump did this, like MAGA did this, which I think is such an odd stretch. And they're like, this is like Nazi Germany, like Trump did this. First of all, Jimmy Kimmel has been mocking Trump for nearly 10 years every night, and it's the bread and butter of his entire monologue is Trump. He couldn't do an episode without Trump. Let's be honest. He kept all those late night guys in business, Trump, whether you like it or not. It's all they talk about is Trump, Trump, Trump for at least 10 minutes a night. So don't you think Trump, if he had all this power, would have fired Kimmel a long time ago if he had the power to? You think he just randomly snapped his fingers and they decided to listen to Trump and fire him? ABC and Disney, they're private companies. They decide to do whatever they want. And now the left media is trying to convince us that Disney and ABC are far-right MAGA organizations. Wake up. They did that on their own accord. You could say, oh, well, you don't understand. There's secret agencies and departments that influence and put pressure. Stop. You sound like a conspiracy nut job now. The left is now the conspiracy nut jobs. The left is now saying, well, the government called ABC and said, you better fire Kimmel right now because of that joke. That wasn't even that crazy of a joke. It was just an insensitive political comment. You can't even call it a joke. You can't even call what he said a joke. It was more just a distasteful comment. But because of that, you better fire him now. And they just said, oh, you're fired, Jimmy. Pack your stuff. What world are you living in? That's all I'm saying. If you don't think that there's a process that ABC and Disney had and that there was multiple warnings given and then that was maybe the final one and that was it. Maybe Disney and ABC have a broad audience and they don't want this type of hateful rhetoric fanning the flames of violence and creating a greater divide. Maybe they don't want that. Does that make sense that a company wouldn't want that? That it's bad for business to split the audience in half? Maybe they know a little thing or two. ABC and Disney. I don't think they know anything about entertainment. And let's not pretend Kimmel was doing phenomenal, that these late night shows were doing phenomenal. If you go watch one of my old episodes, I said they're going to go the way of the car show and the way of the newspaper. I predicted it. And I even called out Kimmel specifically that he was the next to go because people aren't watching these shows anymore. There's like a small percentage of the radical left, blue no matter who, 50 and older demographic that still tune into late night. I'm being honest. No one's watching that. That is indicative of the future of entertainment. Like, I'm just being honest. If you think young people are watching Jimmy Kimmel, you're out of touch. That's all I could say. Now, like I said, I mean, go back. You have the internet, the infinite knowledge device that has a record of everything. You could go back and see what's going on. The left, like, they forget, all you people that forget out there. Jimmy Kimmel mocked Trump when he got kicked off of social media immensely, and he brutally made fun of Tucker when he got fired from Fox News. So it's like all's fair in love and war, and this is a business, and this is a war. Like, this is a war for ratings, and you're in that sphere, you're in the arena. Do you really think people were gonna, throw you a pity party, Jimmy Kimmel, because you got fired when you basked in the happiness and the glory of making fun of all your opponents that got fired over the years? It's just how it is. You had your time in the sun. Enjoy it. Now go enjoy your family or go start a podcast and bring over a little bit of your audience and call it a day. That's what I would say. I don't know. Doesn't need to be a political movement because a late night comic on a failing show got canceled. I'm just being honest. But we're going to equate that now. We're going to say, well, this is just like Charlie Kirk. Not really. This is a TV show getting canceled. The other one is someone dying. The only thing that's the same is you didn't like someone taking away someone's freedom of speech. So we could agree on that. We shouldn't take away freedom of speech. How you go about doing it is a spectrum. Some people take away freedom of speech by canceling a TV show. Other people take away freedom of speech by killing someone. There's a difference. You need to understand that. You need to understand that. Now, freedom of speech, I think people don't understand what that is. It doesn't mean you just get to say whatever you want with no consequences. Freedom of speech also comes with consequences. Like, what you say will have consequences. I don't know how we don't know that. I feel like this is a very basic, rudimentary concept. You know what I'm saying? I think children know that. But I guess as adults, we forget. Now, granted, this might all be a stunt. This might be a Cracker Barrel. This might be get everybody tuned up and excited about Jimmy Kimmel again, and then they bring him back on a news show, and then the ratings go up because the ratings were in the crapper before. Who knows? Don't trust anything. Don't trust anything. Now, just because I don't believe Trump was personally behind Jimmy Kimmel being fired does not mean that I'm not going to be critical of him now. As you know, no loyalty to anyone of this earth fully. I will never bow to any man of this earth. And I think a lot of people have a problem with that because of the cult-like nature of these political parties. Some people think Trump does no wrong. Some people think Trump does no right. You want to kind of be, you want to be neutral in the middle. Be a critically thinking adult is what you'd like to do. So, because I was supportive of certain Trump policies in the past does not mean I love every single thing he does. I am deeply disappointed in Trump and this administration thus far. Few good things have happened. A lot of good ideas have been proposed, but nothing came of them. But very recently, Trump's reaction to Charlie Kirk's death was incredibly cold, and it made me sick to my stomach. He barely spared him 2 or 3 words and moved right on to the next thing. It is truly disgusting what's going on. I think I felt the change, like I said, in the tides. I think that Trump MAGA era is ending. I really do. Trump's entire cabinet administration has proven to be less than stellar, if I could say it lightly. Kash Patel, like I said, don't even know what he's doing. He's proving to be somewhat of a moron, it appears. The whole cabinet, sort of. The mishandling of the Epstein thing should not be forgotten anytime soon. And how they backpedaled and changed their tune on that. Don't forget that. When people show you who they are, believe them. The Valhalla comment he made about Charlie Kirk gave me the ick. I don't know how to put it any other way. It gave me the ick. Not good. I think that Trump era is over. I don't know if this is even true. I saw a little thing, a gold statue of Trump holding a Bitcoin. Is that real? If that's real, wow, talk about revelation of the method. They're putting it right in front of you, golden idol at the end. Maybe we are in end times. I believe more and more every day we're at end times. These golden idols and these false prophets. What's more false prophet than a golden Donald Trump holding a Bitcoin? Can they make it any more obvious? Anyways, another thing that bothered me is even though I think this MAGA party is ending, I think what it's becoming is something else. And I think it's this new age, more intellectual, young, conservative, let's say right-wing party. And I don't know what that would have been, but I think and feel in my heart that Charlie Kirk would have probably been president one day if his life wasn't taken from him so unjustly and unfairly. So young. He wasn't even old enough to run for president, but if he was, I can see him winning. That guy could run circles around Donald Trump when it comes to debating and even showing compassion and being a Christian. Let's be honest. I don't really see a lot of Christian values from Trump. Now I get everybody, celebrates and lives their religion in their own way, but I think it's fair to say Charlie Kirk was a little bit more open of a Christian than Trump and had a little bit more compassion than Trump, but was also stern. All the qualities Trump had, Charlie Kirk had, all the good qualities, rather. And Charlie Kirk really had none of the bad, or very little of the bad. The guy he was introspective and he could, be reflective of his self and look at his own flaws and have compassion and speak to others in a way that was not just insulting, but he was like he would dance when he debated. It was like a work of art. That's what could have been a president. And it could have been all the good of Trump and none of the bad. But now it's like, well, that's not going to just go away. And evidently it hasn't. His impact is now growing even stronger. I think I just read there was like 54,000 new chapters of Turning Point USA around the country since he died. Even the local college around here, Scranton University, opened a chapter. So he's living on. Like I said, when they kill a tyrant, his reign ends. When you kill a martyr, it just begins. It's just beginning now. Where will that go? Just like when an animal dies, right? Let's say in out in the wilderness, the buzzards come. You ever hear that? Like the buzzards come and they, even if you're dying, you're still like alive, but you're dying. The buzzards, you'll see them block the sun. They start flying over you. The crows, and they come down. They start getting closer, and then they nip you a little and they bite you a little, like the crows and the buzzards. The vultures come in, right? The hyenas, they come around. You hear them cackling in the distance, ready to get the scraps that's left. That's what's going on with poor Charlie Kirk. I'm telling you that. And if you don't see it, I don't know what to tell you. All these people came out of the woodwork, and they all want a piece. They all want a piece of that momentum. Now, some of these people aren't the worst. They're not bad. I like what they have to say, some of what they have to say. But do I trust any of them fully? No, not at this point. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlson, the Ben Shapiro. They're all coming in. Ben Shapiro said he's going to pick up the blood-stained microphone and pick up right where Charlie left off and fill those shoes. I really? I don't know, man. I mean, I think there's a ginormous fundamental difference between these people and Charlie Kirk, especially Ben Shapiro. Big difference there. You remember, Charlie Kirk was a very devout Christian. Ben Shapiro's Jewish. I don't think it's going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's going to be the same. I think you're just going to fill his shoes. But I do think these are the voices of the next conservative movement that will, inevitably replace MAGA or be the new age of MAGA once Trump is gone and that old age system goes away. Because the sad truth is MAGA and Trump and all those people just became the new establishment. Trump was anti-establishment in the beginning when he wasn't a president. He was an outsider. Then he was the president, lost, whatever you want to say, then won again. And then he was already the president. So he was an insider then. And now he's fully compromised by those in power. Let's just say that are above him, whoever they may be, whether it's big tech, the donors, other countries, other intelligences, whatever. They got him. And why wouldn't he sell out? Nothing of his character proves or insinuates that he wouldn't sell out. So again, when people show you who they are, believe them. And unless you're completely conspiratorial, you can't keep believing that he's playing some sort of 4D chess and he's got a plan and don't worry. And this just looks like that. Come on. So this new party, they're jumping in Charlie Kirk's grave. His seat is still warm, jumping in his seat. I don't know how I feel about all that. I don't really like that. And I think those people, the Tuckers, the Candace Owens, the Shapiros, who knows if they're compromised? I would say there's a good chance they are. But they are the planned opposition. You know what I'm saying? They are the people that are funded by the same people on the left, but they're the voice of the right that is gaining traction. Understand? And I don't know if they are as, let's say, have the same integrity as Charlie Kirk, and maybe they do certain deals and take certain, offerings and say certain things that benefit powerful people or organizations. Who knows? So I don't know if I trust all them, but I do think they will become the mainstream voice of the younger conservative movement. Now you have them on one side, and then this other side, which I'm only bringing this up because you're going to hear about it soon, the Nick Fuentes group, or the Groypers, or whatever you want to call these people. If you look up Nick's videos, very radical. That's going to be the other side, the radical right that doubles down and is very extremely polarizing. The Candace Owens, the Tucker, the Shapiro, they're over there on the right, but Nick Fuentes is way over there. So I think that's going to be a divide there. So keep that in your hat, keep that in the back of your mind. Keep that in your back pocket. Whatever the expression is, just keep it on your radar. That's my little prediction there. I have to give you all the info. You're going to start hearing those names more. Just be cautious. And remember what your buddy Kat told you. Heard it right here on Midnight Therapy from the Cowboy in the Basement. My prediction. In other news, there's this Christian resurgence now. You keep hearing this call for the Crusades and all this crazy stuff that I never thought would happen in my life, but life keeps slipping deeper and deeper into obscurity, and I don't know what to make of it. But London had a giant protest this past week. Millions of people were on the London Bridge. I don't know how it didn't collapse, climbing up statues, holding a cross flag, looking just like the Crusades starting. I don't know, right in time for the end times, if you believe that. Yeah, I don't know what to make of all that. I never thought I would see something like this in my life, but what are you going to do? Maybe this really is end times. I've been saying that, I don't know, the past 10 episodes. Now, on a lighter note, I'm going to give you some reasons why it might be the end times. Number one, I saw an article, these are signs of the end times. Like I'm going to tell you, like, there's some signs, the terrible political violence, this stuff, but here's a big sign. If I ever saw a sign, this is a sign that it's the end times. An article I read about Bonnie Blue, fan of the show. We bring her up all the time. You know her. She slept with 2,000 men in one day. Great moral figure, role model, Bonnie Blue. She upped the ante a little of her, of whatever you call it, her career. And now she has a bang bus. It's called a Bonnie Blue's Bang Bus. And you can assume what she does in it, but it's like a mobile prostitute thing where she drives around and you get in, you bang in the bang bus, and then you move on. That's great. Is that not a sign of the end times? If that isn't, I don't know what is, but prepare your soul, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can say. Another sign of the end times, Ben and Jerry split up. Jerry is upset. He can't say whatever he wants on social media. And so he's like, if I can't share hateful things on the internet, I'm out. So now it's just Ben's. Might be a sign of the end times. I'm seeing like demonic people. They look demonic. Like the Olsen twins did this like ad. Those girls, they looked very demonic. They look like Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus also looks quite demonic now. I don't know what's going on, but it might be a sign of the end times. I just want you all to know that all of this stuff they're feeding you is fake. There's no such thing as left or right. There's no such thing as half of the intersections they put you in. You are an individual and you have a purpose on this earth. And you should stick to fulfilling it and doing the right thing and staying positive and not falling into these traps and these labels and this tribalism and this echo chamber. Don't do it. Don't believe it. Put the phone down unless you're watching the show. Go outside, have fun, spend time with your family, make memories. That's it. Stop worrying about the news. Not everything is a big deal. And half the things you're programmed to care about, you normally wouldn't care about ever. You were just conditioned to care about these things. I don't know what to say. I keep telling everybody, prepare your soul. Repent, be sorry, move on. If you have anyone you want to call up and say sorry to, do it. If you have anyone you could forgive, do it. If you have anyone you didn't talk to in a while, text them tonight. That's all I'm saying, because it might really be the end times, and it's this week. They say the 23rd. And if it isn't then it might be, next week. Who knows? You should live every day of your life as if it was the end. That way you appreciate it more. But the sick thing is, why do people do this? Like, why do I do this? Like, why do I pay attention to this stuff? Why do I talk about so much? I wonder that sometimes. I think of I use this analogy all the time, like Achilles. He was told, if you go into battle, you'll be remembered forever, but you're going to die. But if you don't go into the battle forever, you'll have a family and you'll be remembered for a couple generations and you'll be forgotten. And the guy went, nah, I'd rather be remembered forever and die. Why is that? Why do we care so much about this fame? Like Elvis, you know what happens to Elvis? That you die on the toilet overdosing, bloated, young. Yet everybody still would be Elvis if they could. They want to be Elvis. What is so romanticized about being this big celebrity that has all this influence? It really doesn't matter. And if you learn anything from Charlie Kirk, it would be that if you could talk to him that morning, you would say, just go home to your family. Stop it. Like, I'm happy you did what you did, but it's not worth it. Like, if he could talk to himself, from beyond the beyond, he would say, look, dude, just go enjoy your family. And I think about that all the time. Of course, my show is small and I don't have anything, but maybe one day it'll be big. Maybe one day you'll be rewatching this and say, hey, look, he only had 90 subscribers. Wow, that's crazy. But I think about that. And that's why I think the Charlie Kirk, assassination bothered me so much. And I think it bothered a lot of people so much because it was universally wrong. It was objectively wrong what happened. And to make it more specific, I have a family. I have a new baby, and I have a loving partner, and I do a similar thing that he does. I try to be a personality and a voice, and I talk about these things, and I bring up topics, and I put things out publicly on the internet, and you never know when it'll take off one day. And I would hate if that happened to me, and then people were mocking and making a joke out of that with me, And I think we should all put ourselves in the perspective of other people. How does his wife feel? How will his kids feel? It's not always about politics. I think people get too caught up in the details. They miss the big picture. It's about living a good life, being positive and doing the right thing, and knowing you're going to fall short, knowing you're going to mess up and sin every day. But it's about feeling bad honestly and naturally, having that sorrow and regret and genuine feeling of sorry to have that, and to try to be better. That's all you could do, But some people, I don't think they have any remorse. I don't think they wish to be better, and I don't think they live for anything. And that's sad. And you have to be aware those people exist and make decisions accordingly. So I love doing what I do, and I love doing this show, and I love building an audience, but don't think it doesn't weigh on me a little that some people don't know how to handle hearing an opinion that doesn't coincide with theirs. And it's a scary world out there. And you're never going to hide from all the bad things out there. So all you can do is prepare for them. Fail to prepare to fail. And I'm talking this life and the next. Prepare your soul. And while you're here on this earth, don't let your guard down. Always be aware. Prepare your soul. That's all I could say. God bless everybody out there. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're tuning in. This is a passion of mine that I'm going to keep doing till the bitter end. As always, this episode is brought to you in part by Jack's Pub and Eatery, 3 Saints Barbershop, located in historic downtown Chester, Pennsylvania. Also, Tusk, Scranton, and Picardo Jewelers. I will be back, as always, with another episode next week. Thank you for tuning in. And again, remember, if you have an opportunity to bring peace and come together or fan the flames of hate, I hope you choose to unite and be peaceful. Stay curious, my friends. Good night.